The whole place was completely surrounded.
And we see a big empty space.
Boats in the water.
We see a total of 2 boats in the water. Maybe they're pups, maybe they're fishing.
Cars up the drive.
And he says, cars on the drive, and they show a completely empty drive. It's literally like a parody. I think Netflix was having a little chuckle with the editing here. I've been rewatching Harry and Meghan's Netflix documentary of 2022 with the wisdom of hindsight, and I have been finding so many funny, ironic moments, and I wanted to share them with you, so here goes. Hi everyone, I'm Rosie Blythe. I'm the author of the Princess Guide to Life book series, and on this channel we talk about everything from royals to books to TV characters, and today we are concluding a 3-part series on the funniest, most ironic moments from Harry and Meghan's Netflix documentary of 2022. So let's dive in. So we have this idea that they felt very unsafe and hounded by the press. And when they made their freedom flight from Canada to Los Angeles, Meghan said everyone knew where they were. So it was very dangerous and unsafe.
Our security will be removed on the 31st of March, thereby leaving me less than 3 weeks to find security for my family. And I'm worried. I am genuinely concerned for the safety of my family.
And then just like that, this thing called COVID.
Officials now say more than 400 people have been sick.
And at that moment, our location was exposed. We knew our security was being pulled. Everyone in the world knew where we were, so we weren't going to be safe there.
I just want to say that we all know where they are now. They're in Montecito. It's not a secret. So I don't really know why there's such a big deal of like, oh, people knew where we were. I mean, look, if you go to Hollywood, they do a tour, don't they, of all the stars' houses. They're like, oh, that's Tom Cruise, that's Jennifer Aniston, and it's fine. I mean, maybe it's not fine. It's not particularly nice, is it, to have your house on a tour? But no one was doing that for Meghan and Harry. Nobody cares. I don't think people actually care as much as Meghan and Harry claim that they do. And just to prove my point, here we have Harry saying with a straight face that the place was surrounded.
The whole place was completely surrounded.
And we see a big empty space.
Boats in the water.
We see a total of 2 boats in the water. Maybe they're pups, maybe they're fishing.
Cars up the drive.
And he says, cars on the drive, and they show a completely empty drive. It's literally like a parody. I think Netflix was having a little chuckle with the editing here. And again, Harry just comes up with an entire narrative that just isn't there.
Individuals trying to jump over the fence and take photographs over the wall.
He says individuals were trying to jump over the fence and they're clearly not doing anything of the sort. One looks more like he's lost and wants to find someone to ask for directions. It's insane. So Tyler Perry provides quite a few of the ironic moments in this documentary, because when he hears the fear in Meghan's voice, he immediately jumps to associating that with the death of Princess Diana. And like, obviously I think this is the sort of shadow hanging over Harry and probably William as well, although he doesn't talk about it. But if your mum gets hounded to death by paparazzis, then yeah, you're gonna have a bit of a problem with being chased by press. So I don't want to be too unkind to Harry with this, but I do think that Meghan exploits it and she feeds into that fear and that anxiety instead of trying to talk Harry down from it, which is, you know, really quite harmful.
I was just a wreck. I was just crying and crying. Like sometimes it's easier to just open up to someone who knows nothing at all. And that was that moment with me and Tyler.
I could hear the fear. It was palpable. I mean, I could hear it. So I asked her, what was she afraid of? And she took a deep breath and she started listing the things I'm afraid of. And I said to her, every one of your fears are valid. You know, the most that I knew about the royal family was around Princess Diana's death. There's a moment that I'll never forget where she's walking through the airport and she has a tennis racket in front of her face and she's trying to get away from the press and they're all over her. And I realized that after the marriage ended, she was thrown to the wolves.
We don't have any footage of Meghan that's similar. Ask yourself why that might be. You know, if they're chasing her all the time, why don't we ever see the pictures?
I was afraid of them destroying her or going crazy or them making her think she was crazy.
British public opinion is that it's all Meghan's fault.
I saw my mother be abused for years. I knew the symptoms. I knew what it was like. I'm like, Tyler, how dare you compare this to the abuse of your mother? This woman was abused. And so was he. To use the institution to try and do all the things that a batterer would do, like, oh, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut off the money. We're gonna not leave you security. We're gonna do all those things to make you comply and come back. And for the both of them to have the wherewithal to say, I don't give a damn if it's the palace. I'm out of here. I applauded that.
I think Tyler Perry has a very specific idea of what Harry and Meghan's life is like because he's projecting his own family history and emotional stuff onto it. I don't think the royal family want Harry and Meghan to come back. Like, I'm sure they wish it could be cordial rather than the sort of us against them thing, because obviously that becomes a field day for the press. Like, every time the royal family does something or Harry and Meghan does something, it's like, oh, I wonder what they're all thinking of each other, and it becomes this drama that plays out in the press. I'm sure that the royal family probably isn't too crazy about that, but I don't think they would necessarily want Harry and Meghan to come back and be more closely associated with them. I think they're probably quite relieved. Certainly looking back now, obviously at the time they didn't know exactly how it would pan out, but I think they probably had a fairly shrewd idea that it wasn't going to go very well because they know what Harry's like and they could see what Meghan is like. So I think they probably guessed correctly that Harry and Meghan were going to do things that would embarrass themselves. It's probably quite a good thing if they don't embarrass us as well, because we can say, like, oh, well, we're not connected anymore.
Do a squat if you can hear me. Okay. Eat it like a little chipmunk. Give me my milk.
Thank goodness.
Okay, now drink it.
And I think the royal family are probably really pleased that they can be like, well, at least, you know, we're not getting sucked into that as well. Like the baby mama dance. I'm sure the royal family were like, well, thank God she's, you know, they're officially disconnected from us. We can't be dragged into that, because how embarrassing would that be for us? So this idea that the royal family is desperate to get them back, I think is completely mistaken.
Most of the time that I was in the UK, I rarely wore color. There was thought in that. To my understanding, you can't ever wear the same color as Her Majesty if there's a group event, but then you also shouldn't be wearing the same color as one of the other more senior members of the family. So I was like, well, what's a color that they'll probably never wear? Camel, beige, white. So I wore a lot of muted tones, but it also was so I could just blend in. So
Five engagements in 5 days.
until that last week in the UK, I rarely wore color, but I wore a lot of color that week.
Yeah.
Just felt like, well, let's just look like a rainbow.
I'm not going to delve too deeply into this because I've already made an entire video series to document the colour or lack thereof in Meghan's royal wardrobe, and I will link it for you below. But suffice to say, Meghan was seen in colour a fair bit during her time under the royal rule, and she has continued to lean into the neutrals since leaving them behind. I also just want to point out that Meghan is wearing greige while she's telling us this. Also that the voiceover mentioned that there were 5 events in 5 days, but they only show 3 of the outfits. If you're wondering why, it's because the other outfits she chose were, you guessed it, boring old neutrals. So basically, she's just blathering nonsense here for no other reason than trying to make the royal family sound bad.
Has it been noisy around your house? Is anyone there?
No, actually no.
Good.
To just show you what we're having to now do. And these large poles are basically the construction of a fence stop paparazzi from taking photographs from 300-400 meters away. And as ridiculous and as absurd as this is, you kind of have to laugh about it because it is madness.
Can you see the frenzy of helicopters circling? Because I can't. I'm not denying that there was a lot of media interest in Harry and Meghan, especially when they were fresh out the gate from their freedom flight. But they keep telling us how bad it was and then showing us nothing.
Across the canyon are all these other, celebrities, and no one had seen an assault like this.
I think my favourite example of Harry's paranoia, this is I feel bad laughing, but it is funny.
It's almost 5 in the morning. While she's waking up, because this.
Oh my God, they're just circling. What is wrong with these people?
So when it's 5:30 in the morning and Harry says there are helicopters circling, I don't understand his thinking. So what, the helicopters are taking pictures of his house? If there are photographers in those helicopters expecting to glimpse Harry and Meghan, why would they be there at 5:30 in the morning? Wouldn't they come out when Harry and Meghan might be more likely to be up and awake? Like, to me, this is insane that he doesn't even think about how crazy that sounds and how paranoid. It's probably just a helicopter going somewhere. They're not circling your house to, look at your house while you're all asleep inside. There's another moment where it's just like, are you actually being serious? Because it sounds almost like you're being sarcastic. I know he wouldn't be because he's he was, I don't know if he still is. Tyler Perry was a big support to Meghan and Harry. He insists that she's so classy and elegant. She didn't say all that she could have.
There's so much more she could have said, but because she's such a classy, elegant woman, she did.
I think she did. I think she did. I think she dredged everything that she could dredge up. And also, this is the benefit of hindsight. We can refer to things that weren't actually in the show. I always think that it's funny that in Spare, Harry has this story about Catherine, or Kate as Harry calls her, wouldn't share her lip gloss with Meghan. And it's like, seriously? That's the worst thing you could come up with. Like, you must have really been dredging through all of your memories. Like, is there anything we can come up with that she did that was horrible? Oh, well, she did sort of make a face that one time where she did lend her lip gloss to Meghan. She didn't refuse. Maybe we could make something out of that. The fact that their past has been combed through for anything negative about the royal family, and then Tyler Perry's like, oh yeah, no, they could have said more. No, they couldn't. They clearly used every little tiny bit of negativity that they could find against the royal family. So if they haven't mentioned it, then it definitely didn't happen. This is another, it's not so much funny as sad and ironic, when Harry says that his grandfather, Prince Philip, died peacefully and happily.
I was actually really happy for my grandfather. He went quietly, he went peacefully, he went happily.
Yeah, I guess he did. He'd had a really good long life, happy marriage, lots of children and grandchildren. But at the same time, he did also die knowing that his grandson had been on the Oprah Winfrey show. I mean, maybe he didn't know. Maybe they kept it secret from him. I don't know. Calling them all racists. So he could have had an end that was more peaceful and happy.
Harry's respect for his grandfather was monumentally deep, and I think a lot of the characteristics that I love in Harry are slightly grandfather related.
I think Harry is blind to his own actions here, and yeah, I've gone quite serious in what's meant to be a light-hearted video about the funny moments, but I'm just like, yeah, that is ironic. It's not funny, but it's ironic. So we have another ironic moment from Tyler Perry when he's asked to be godfather to Lily, and he's like, only if I don't have to go over there with them, because he hates the royal family so much.
We'll call and we'll chat and we'll talk about silly things, and they were pretty serious on the phone. I go, okay, what's going on? And they said, well, we'd like for you to be Lily's godfather. I thought I'd be honored. I'd absolutely be honored. So, hold on a second. Does this mean we got to go over there and do all of that in the church with them and figure all that out? Because I don't want to do that. Maybe we can do a little private ceremony here and let that be that. And if you have to do it there, then it's okay.
If Meghan hadn't married into the royal family, you wouldn't have heard of her. Tyler. You weren't writing her notes when she was in Suits, when she married Trevor. So you obviously, like, it wasn't like, oh my goodness, this woman, I feel such a connection with her, I must support her no matter what she does. No, it was because she married into the royal family. That's why you've heard of her. So don't act like the royal family are this like evil entity that you can't even stand to be in the same room as them, when they're the only reason that you even know Meghan. And also, I think there is a little bit of prestige in being friends with a prince, whether you admit to that or not. And maybe that is why he wanted to make that connection, which he did. And now that Lily has him as a godfather, she won't be short of cash in the future, will she?
I also think it's funny that Meghan and Harry share in this anti-royalist sentiment. They made a point in the Oprah interview of claiming the big wedding was just a spectacle. They didn't really have any interest in that side of things.
I was thinking about it, even our wedding, you know, 3 days before our wedding, we got married. No one knows that, but we called the Archbishop and we just said, look, this spectacle is for the world, but we want our union between us.
But then they forget they said that and have a little segment in the Netflix show where they're chortling about all the extravagance and how amazing it was.
We had the reception at St. George's Hall.
Look, okay, with a sword.
With a sword. I mean, it was great. It was all so over the top. I think most people were just like, what is happening? Elton John's performing. I couldn't find my mom because she'd like beeline to the stage to just watch Elton sing.
So this was another moment that I think got a lot of criticism, where Harry sort of boasts like, oh, Archie's doing stuff over here that we could never do in Britain.
Just seeing Archie running across the lawn and this big smile, but this is the world that he knows. He spent his first 5 months in Windsor, that was it. This is home to him, this is home to Lily.
You need to walk away.
And this is our home.
Riding down the promenade.
I get to do things with our kids I would never be able to do in the UK.
And I know I said this video is specifically about the Netflix show, but I think it's interesting to note that Harry is so set on this that he also mentioned it in the Oprah interview.
But to have outdoor space where I can go for walks with Archie, and we can go for walks as a family and with the dogs, and be able to go for hikes or go, you know, down to the beach, which is so close. All of these things are just, I guess the highlight for me is sticking him on the back of the bicycle in his little baby seat.
By the way, just as a side note, watch Meghan's face when Harry starts enthusing about Archie chatting on the back of the bike. She's so uncomfortable. I don't know why, but she just wants him to stop talking, doesn't she?
And take him on these bike rides is something which I never was able to do when I was young. I can see him on the back and he's got his arms out and he's like, woo, chatting, going, palm tree, how?
So something that this came up as a big criticism, that Harry claims that he didn't get to ride a bike, and then there's footage of him riding a bike. I know in Spare he mentioned something about like he didn't have very many memories of his childhood, or was it specifically of his mum? But he certainly seems to have a patchy memory, so I guess we can give him a little bit of a pass there.
To play devil's advocate, Harry could argue that the mere presence of a photographer at these moments makes his point for him, although they might just be family pictures, I don't know. But suffice to say, if they had wanted to go for a bike ride away from prying eyes, the royal family has acres upon acres of land in the Balmoral estate, Sandringham, Windsor Home Park. Like, they definitely have a fair bit of space all to themselves.
The irony for me is when he's saying that, like, oh, we can do things that we could never do in Britain. And then it's Archie, he's riding a little bike around in the courtyard in their property. So, like, you could probably have done that at Buckingham Palace. Like, there's probably room indoors even to ride a bike up and down the corridor. That would be fun, wouldn't it? If I had access to a palace when I was a kid, I would have been roller skating up and down those corridors. But, like, Archie would not have missed out on any of those experiences if he had been raised in Britain, is all I'm saying. So the baby shower has layers of irony in it. First of all, Meghan's niece, Ashley, wasn't invited. I'm going to talk more about her in a future video, but we have this situation where Ashley was sort of like told that she wasn't allowed to come to the wedding because of the royal family.
With Ashley, the guidance at the time was to not have her come to our wedding. I was in the car with H, and I called her and I had her on speakerphone and we talked her through what guidance we were being given and why this assessment was made, and that's painful.
I think I said I was hurt on some level, but I understood where it was coming from.
But then she wasn't invited to the baby shower either. What did the royal family have to do with that? That was Meghan's friends. Because I'm pretty sure with baby showers, unless it's a surprise one, you would consult the mother and say like, oh, is there anyone that you want to make sure that we, you know, without stealing your address book like they did in Friends, how are we going to make sure we've got everybody that you want? So Ashley didn't get an invite to that for whatever reason. I'm sure there's a way we can blame the royal family for that if we think hard enough, but anyway. And you have to question what happened with Ashley, because, okay, so she's told she can't come to the wedding because the royal family have said no, which I don't believe, but I will talk more about that in a future video. But then, like, so what happened after the wedding? Did they just ghost her? Because why isn't she, like, if she was just not invited to the wedding, there's no reason why Meghan couldn't just continue to be close to her. Like, the royal family isn't going to be like, no, you're not allowed to see your niece. I'm sure if she thought she could get away with saying that, I'm sure she would. But, like, I don't think anyone would actually buy that. So where is Ashley? And then we have this suggestion that there was terrible negative press.
My girlfriend surprised me with a really beautiful baby shower in New York. They're like, we're gonna shower her with love and shower her baby, and she's gonna survive this. We're gonna get through it with her.
This like really magical time of just like us just celebrating her.
It was just so cool and so fun to just like try to have an intimate moment. I don't think I understood that there was no intimate moment that one could have.
That turned into a thing.
Some reports criticized the extravagance.
Ostentation.
Some of the world's biggest stars.
A show-off moment.
Traveling home in style.
Clooney's private jet, not too shabby.
It was so wrong. These independent, strong, successful women choose to use their own money, and it's not taxpayer money, to throw a party for their friend from a place of love. Why are you taking such a beautiful moment and trying to ruin it?
But if we actually examine, okay, what negative press was there? What we have is Omid Scobie saying that they rolled their eyes, okay, and it was that she travelled on a private jet, which is just the truth, I guess. Like, she either did or she didn't, and it sounds like she did.
Again, the press is just reporting what Meghan's up to. She's been to this place, travelling with these people, by this mode of transport. When you're a public figure with as big a platform as the royal family, this is just par for the course. It's not negative, it's just reporting of facts. Even if there was backlash over the private jet, which wouldn't be that surprising when she and Harry do tend to preach about eco-credentials, but she acts like she's the only person this ever happens to. When, for instance, Taylor Swift is constantly criticised for using a private jet, when there are countless celebrities who use theirs way more, and I would suspect with far less reason to, because they're not going to get mobbed by fans in an airport. So Meghan just thinks she's uniquely persecuted, when actually it's just the flip side of the fame and fortune coin, which also provides her with the riches and the voice that she now has.
So, leaving you with that to ponder, that is the end of this 3-part series on the funny and ironic moments from the Netflix show. I am going to continue to explore this show because, oh, it's a goldmine. It's just so full of great stuff. So next I'm going to do a video on the weirdly revealing moments where they just say stuff and you kind of think, oh, I don't think you meant to let that slip, did you? So look out for that coming soon. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel, and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.